Kitts and Nevis listens to
WINN FM 98.9.
WINN FM 98.9.
Do you want to know what's happening in sport? Tune in to On The Ball, a weekly tour show which is on WINN FM 98.9 every Tuesday from 7 to 9 p.m. with me, your host, Troy Bif Mills. We will keep you on the ball with our variety of guests and, of course, your calls, discussing the facts and the stats and sharing your opinions. Get on the ball and stay on the ball by tuning into On The Ball with Troy Bif Mills on WINN FM 98.9 every Tuesday night from 7 to 9 p.m. and also on Facebook and YouTube. Be on the ball. you want to know what's happening in sport? Tune in to On the Ball, a weekly tour show which is on WINN FM 98.9 every Tuesday from 7 to 9 p.m. with me, your host, Troy Bif Mills. We will keep you on the ball with our variety of guests and, of course, your calls, discussing the facts and the stats and sharing your opinions. Get on the ball and stay on the ball by tuning into On the Ball with Troy Bif Mills on WINN FM 98.9 every Tuesday night from 7 to 9 p.m. and also on Facebook and YouTube. Be on the ball. Welcome to another edition of On the Ball here at WINN FM 98.9. Boy, the year finishing fast, 6 months done gone. We're already into the second half of the year. Time flight, time waited on no man. Today is Thursday, the 1st of July. I hope everybody recover from the music festival. I enjoyed the string band and the steel band, and to me they were the number one and the number. Well, they told them time for number one acts of the whole music festival. That's just my view. But welcome again. If you're celebrating birthdays today, happy birthday. If you're celebrating anniversary, happy anniversary. If you got something new, a promotion, you got a bicycle, you got a new fingernail, or whatever you do, you got a new job, you got a new girlfriend, a new baby, congratulations, and we wish you all the best. And those who celebrated birthdays between Wednesday, and yesterday, we say happy belated birthday to you. Those who celebrated anniversaries, happy belated anniversaries. Now fast forward in terms of bereavement. It's really sad news, and it's never a good time when it comes to death. And right out of the bat, we're thinking about the young lady, the 15-year-old, whose body was discovered a few days ago. We say congratulations to her family and her friends, and of course her schoolmates and her school. A real tragic loss, a nice, beautiful 15-year-old young lady. And then we have Culture, Vinci. He was laid to rest yesterday, Monday. We say condolences, to his family and friends. He and another cyclist, I can't remember, but they were the first two athletes to represent St. Kitts and Nevis at any Commonwealth Games. That was back in 1972 in Canada. And I heard a story, they went up there with the regular bike that they ride on the road into the race. They nearly put them back on the plane, send them back St. Kitts. No man, I'm only kidding with that. The Kittitians living in Canada actually had to pool some monies together and buy bicycles for them for that competition, the appropriate bicycles. And we say congratulations to those persons. However, it is a tremendous loss. And I've had about 2-3 experiences in life. When I heard people in the hospital, I say, okay, I'm not going to see them. They're going to probably be up there a couple of days. And I put off today and I put off tomorrow. And next thing, sometime I go up there. When I ask, why the person gone in, the person gone to the great beyond. When I say I'm going later this afternoon, I hear the person gone. So anytime you hear people in the hospital, go and visit right away. You don't know what would happen. But I said that because I have penciled in Vinci to be on the show, Culture, to be on this show as a cyclist. And guess what? I won't ever get that opportunity again. And once or twice he called me and he abused me, he gave me some water. He said, boy, you're bringing all kind of sports, football, cricket, basketball, golf, table tennis, but you ain't bringing no cycling. But I had to go dig up some cycling stories and bring it for him. And he's right, because we are sports show, we're supposed to cover everything. Even though the sports may not be one of the dominant sports, or we don't play much of it here in St. Kitts, persons may be interested in it. But anyway, he's a tremendous loss. And we do apologize for the late start. We had one or two matters we had to sort out, but we are now up and ready. And I think my producer tell me he gave me some back me time and we could go to 11 o'clock. It's 11 o'clock, you say, Mr. Aspi? I'm only kidding with 11 o'clock. But we have some powerhouse here in the studio. We were to have two sets of guests. One called and indicated that they can no longer make it and they're going to be here. They asked if they could be here next week. And we think we'll be able to squeeze them in. But right now, we have the football heavyweights of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. The SL Horsford's St. Paul's United Football Club. They are the defending SKNFA League champions. They are the current President Cup champions. They had a chance to go for 4 cups, but they couldn't get 4 cups. They got just 3. They don't get 2. It's only 1 they get. The other one defending from last year. So it's only 3 cups they could have gotten this year: the league, the President Cups, and the FA Cup. The FA Cup slipped them this year as it did last year. I don't know if they recover from all the balling and things, but Lulu might be able to tell us that. But let's go straight to the gentleman and say, good evening, gentlemen. Welcome to WINN FM 98.9. Welcome to On the Ball here. Could you please tell us who you are and your various capacities?
A pleasant good night to radio listeners, Facebook lovers, the Federation of St. Christopher and Nevis, the football-loving public, the wonderful people of St. Paul's and St. Paul's biggest fans, the best fans in all the world. My name is Donald Freeman, and President for life. I laugh at that because I'm only president, I believe, because nothing to gain from it, but the fact that you want to do something for your community. And nobody wants so nobody's going to challenge you.
Exactly.
It's hard work.
You got to put your hand in your pocket most times.
Every single time.
And nobody wants to do that.
Nobody going to do that. So I'm the president of the SLS for St. Paul's United Strikers Football Club. And I will allow the good gentleman to say who he is.
Yeah, good night to everyone out there in Radio Land. I'm Austin Lewis, assistant manager of the St. Paul Football Club.
Gentlemen, welcome again to WINN FM 98.9. Welcome to On the Ball here. And you guys have been, if we start quickly, just the local league, you have been doing well because you started down in like 6th. Early in the season, you were down 6 or 7, and you clawed your way up. And you're now with leaders and points, but just goal difference separating you, a matter of 3 goals, I think it is. So you've crawled from down. And I remember a discussion, and somebody was abusing somebody, St. Paul's, and then they said, why, remember last year we were 6, and we win. And while that was happening, you all kept climbing up from 6 to 5 to 4 to 3, etc., etc. But one, why do you think you got off to that rocky start? What were the reasons? I know Sandy Point beat you guys 3-2 in the first round, but you take revenge 4-1 in the second round.
We're not going to discredit Sandy Point. I think a good Sandy Point is a very good team. Mm-hmm. They're doing all the right things to put things in place. They are gelling well. Based on the points, I think they deserve to have much more points than they have. But it's a learning process. When you just come to the Premier Division, things going to happen to you that you don't even know, right? So we have those at one time when we came up, I think back in the 90s and so, we referred to as the yo-yo of St. Kitts football. A yo-yo is the device where you hit on your hand and go down and come up and so on. And so persons were.
And well, it's interesting, they should call you that, but Sandy Point, since 1985, Sandy Point has not spent 2 years in the Premiership. They've been coming up, going down, coming up, going down. So if ever there's a yo-yo, I'm thinking it's going to be Sandy Point as opposed to St. Paul's.
Yeah. But the rocky start, not really looking any excuses, but we have had some persons who were seasoned campaigners, seasoned persons who were playing very often, the likes of our goalkeeper who has been with us, who have made us consistent. In Jamal Francis, he's going to be here soon. He's out for almost a year. You had the one of our season campaigner for defending, Petres Williams out as well. And, other teams could say Kalanje was out for a while. Malik Clark out for a while. Malik Clark out for a while. So, that experience had been taken away from the club. And it's going to take a while for the youngsters to gel. And while I talk about youngsters, I'm so impressed with Darren Thomas, he's the son of Miller, as we call him for New Vibe Band. Yeah. And when the coach, she's interested in him too. Take the field, all of us was shocked. And he held his own. He's the, seasoned campaigner, working very hard, doing extremely well. And he's such a humble guy. I'm just moved with how humble he is. And, that have really built up. But as one person in St. Paul's said that St. Paul's Football Club, the SLS for St. Paul Football Club, is the Usain Bolt of football. we don't expect us to get a good start. We are big, and usually big people take time to get the head straight. When they meet about 70 meters, that's when you head straight and you start moving.
You kick into using
the gears, and then you use. But the teams in St. Kitts are extremely good. You have great teams. You have the likes of Granville Superstars, Soil Island, Arthur Cannery, and I could go on and on. Montreville Farm, United Old World Jets, and they could just go on. They are very, very good teams, and so you have to out-strategize your opposition, and that's not always the case, And so we expect to have fight, we expect to have serious competition, but at the end of the day, we, based on experience, sometimes we're able to pull off those things, So.
And the way things looking, it's going to be a dog fight going down to the wire.
Not only in Premier,
In the division as well. Yeah,
but that is expected. That is expected. As I said, the teams are very good. You have development, St. Peter's. All those are knocking on the door.
The only team to defeat Kean.
Exactly. You slip, you slide. No, Kean lost our next game.
Yes.
Yeah.
They were the first team to defeat Kean. Yeah.
And Kean is a strong team, a tough team. But I think what sometimes kicks in them is the habitualness of what happened in the past, where they will be doing very well and then, later they get stumbled. But everybody has that period, Everybody has that period. You're not going to just go perfectly throughout the season. And so I would expect that Kean would pick themselves up and ready to go again. I hope they do that after they would have played us.
Of course. And then you're back. And Old Road as well. Old Road, they have only lost 2 matches so far.
If you look at Old Road seriously, you realize that the least amount of goals scored in them. What happens is that they are losing narrowly, and they lose 1-0 and etc. So it means then once they start scoring, it's very difficult to beat them.
Because the defense is tight.
In my humble opinion, Allwood is probably the most technical team in St. Kitts.
I said a few years ago, when I saw, what's his name, the coach, Maurice, what he did to Washi back then, he caught my eye. and then he went to Connery. He gave Connery a championship, and then he transferred. By the time he left Connery, I felt I had him as the best coach in the country in St. Kitts and Nevis. No disrespect to anybody, but I had him as the best coach in the country. I have some challenges with him in other areas, but coaching part, I think he's the best coach in the country. And then he went to Old Road. Old Road was on the verge of going down to First Division when he went to Old Road.
Yep.
And he kept them there, and then he has been inching up, and he was in the finals, the playoffs with them, the Final Four last year. And it's only a matter of time, in my view, before they win the championship. I thought they would have won it by this year. I think, no, it's next year I have them to win it, because I felt they would have won either last year, this year, or next year. And the turnaround in between there, they won the FA Cup, notwithstanding they lost it this year, but last year they won it. So I think they're going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Well, the deficiency in the goals is clear evidence of what happened to them. They were without Tiki, and Tiki is the main goal scorer. It's like St. Paul's lose a Kitty.
Yeah.
Kayan lose a Marvin. So it's not easy. And so I give them, as much as people want to discredit them, I give them a lot of credit. To play without your main player, the player that does the trick for you, and still they're knocking on the door, can't be easy. So I think they have a lot left, in the rest of the season. And somebody's gonna come out. More than one, but it's about 6-7 teams they're knocking on the door.
Yeah, because it's just Old Road in 6 with 20 points, just 6 points. That's 2 matches off of the leaders.
Yep.
And it's going to be tight at the top and at the bottom, because security forces, they haven't scored a goal yet. They ain't got a point yet, but they stand a chance of staying up.
Yeah.
If they win the 6 matches.
Mathematically.
Practically, I'm not so sure, but mathematically, they stand a chance of staying up. Same thing with Mantap.
Yeah.
But that is something. The 3 teams that came up, the 3 teams are in the bottom 8, 9, and 10. I think the FA needs to do a lot more with the First Division clubs, help in development, capacity building, technical support, whatever. Newtown is a different kettle of fish, because Newtown gone down and Newtown banging everybody. Yeah. And they're out front now. Deep Bay, just 1 point, again 1 point separating first and second. Third place just 2 points below. And the fourth place, Sadler's in fourth. They're just 6 points off the pace of the leaders. So down there going to be a dog fight as well.
Yeah, and the good thing is that they have to play each other. Eh?
Yeah.
The Spurs, the Newtown, the Deptby, Sadlers, they all have to play each other. And so the team that wanted the most is going to get
Galaxy in 5, they're like 12 points
that's
off.
That's a little
25.
too far. A little too
far. I'm a little surprised that they're out. They're not a little closer in the bunch.
Even the Pitbull, Molineux, could be doing better. I
had them to be in serious contention between this year and next year. Well, I'm not so sure about this year, because something looked like it's not going so well with them. But it wouldn't surprise me if next year they're in serious championship contention. They've been going over the last couple of years. But Manage, how have you been making out with the players, them, keeping them in line, in discipline, with all the things happening, all the fits and the funds? They want to go and party, and you got a match tomorrow, match in 2 days. How have you been, how successful have you been along
We
the
have a group of responsible players. That's the simplest way to put it.
Okay. That means
everybody responsible for themselves. If we know what we got ahead of us, so I don't think they would go out and do.
And how is practice like? Is it
practice is good as usual, intense, high intensity. Come back with everybody got good spirit, because basically everything what we're doing right now is geared up towards the competition in Trinidad.
Which we're going to touch just now.
Yeah, so much the league here we're studying about right now.
And how often have you been practicing for the local league here?
We practice every day, unless okay, if we have a game Saturday, we'll practice on a Friday, but normally it's 4 days out of the week.
4 days out of the week?
Yeah, sometimes 5.
Okay.
Sunday.
And sometimes on Sunday?
Yeah.
And do you guys do ice baths and things like that?
Yeah, we have days where we do that.
What
Times it's after a game. Yeah.
What about running? Do you guys go running in the mountain and the sand? One go passing
Well,
on the
at
back?
this point in the league, no.
No, at the earlier stages.
Yeah,
have you been doing that?
Yeah, we do that. We do beach and stuff like that.
Because there's a school of thought that when you're running now, you just run on the field, even though you do 20 laps on the field.
No.
I believe in the mountain and the sand and on the road. You go old road, come Sandy Point, you come back Sandy Point.
We do the beach more than anything else.
I believe in that old school thing. I mean,
It's good, but you still got to look at the unevenness of the surface. Eh?
that is true, an injury and twist.
Yeah,
but hey,
yeah.
we come up.
But I endorse what you say.
We come up doing that, and we didn't, a little twist here and there, and it helps us to be more aware of the ground and what we are doing. So it is always a good thing. And well, I'm not certain how much the individual training is being done. How much of that is being done? Is it a case where guys just wait until they come practice at the ground 5:30, 6:30, whatever, to do?
You have individuals who do stuff on their own, but not a large amount. But we do have players who do individual work.
And probably that's a challenge, and I don't think it's unique to St. Paul. Maybe it is the era, maybe it is...
I would go so and say the era.
Yeah. Because nowadays, we run in the morning, and then when you finish work, you probably put in 2 miles in the mountain again before you come down to practice with your training thing. Yeah. But I guess the youngsters now, maybe they want you put on the boots and kick the ball and do everything for them. Mm-hmm. And we're now being joined by our third member of the SL Horsford St. Paul's Football Club. Good evening, sir. Welcome to WINN FM 98.9 and On the Ball. How are you?
Good evening. I'm doing good. Fortunately, because of no transportation, I had to take public bus, but regardless, I really wanted to be here. So, I'm here and ready to share what the club have to offer and say tonight.
Tell us who you are and your capacity, if you don't mind.
So, my name is Jamal Jelan Jeffers, for those who don't know. Other name is Lamos. One of the goalkeepers for the SLS for St. Paul's Football Club. And I'm also aside as a coaching member. So, I'm joined by these two great gentlemen here tonight to, bring you on board and let you know, the reason why we're here.
You've been out a bit with an injury. When are you expected to come back in?
Well, actually, I should be back in 2 weeks' time.
In 2 weeks?
Yes.
How long have you been out?
I've been out since the last season, so I've missed most of this season, which is the first one. But for those who don't know, I've been putting in a lot of work, so I'm just really trying to take that time to really recuperate and get back to 150% so that, when I'm back, I'm able to give that old-time Jamal Jelan Jeffers back in St. Paul's goal.
Could you tell us a little bit about the injury?
So it was an injury that I sustained last season versus St. Peter's. It was a partial tier 2 MCL and ACL. After sustaining that injury, I went and see the doctor. Then I started doing physiotherapy and rehab. And she advised me, as much as I really want to go back and play, I have to take the right steps. And the right steps would have been resting at first and making sure that we do all of the necessary things so that the foot can get back to 150%.
MCL, ACL, you sound like you're talking about major championships and things like that.
She told me MCL and ACL, so it's ligaments that's in your knee that like rubber bands that keeps the knee, the lower foot and the upper thigh, flexible and everything. And it's a common injury in contact sport. And when that happens, you really got to take the right course to come back on track.
I had a ligament tear. We were playing a critical game back down in 1992, I think it was. Crabble and Larimana. Sly Daniel played for Larimana. He was coming at the back and I tackled. And we collided, he twisted. Well, my foot got twisted. I think he broke a rib or two. and through the most pain I ever been in my life. But that's not easy. I think Bardaman had something similar as well, and since that I think he had surgery, I believe, but he has a little limp and thing. But one thing I would encourage you, which probably your members doing, take the risk. If you're supposed to be out for 14 months, even if you want to be out for 15 months, that's all right. But don't try to come back before the 14 months, because you might end up being out for 24 months. And as much as you love the sports.
Baby steps.
Exactly. But you're also into the coaching, assistant coach. How is that going?
Well, I mean, I've done the necessary work, necessary lesson and courses. Just returned home from Anguilla, trying to get a C license for goalkeeper specifically.
What level, CONCACAF?
CONCACAF, yes.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I've been doing the courses. I've been trying to enhance my game, whether if it's as a player, as a coach, trying to help the community and the nation at all.
Because I think you're a national coach as well.
Yes.
At what level?
National senior men's team, and I also more specialize in the goalkeeping department, because we are no head coaches, a lot of work, you know. So more specialized in being the goalkeeper coaches. But for now, right now, I'm more focusing on the younger ones and trying to groom them, teaching them about all of those bad habits and those techniques that they're supposed to be having as young goalkeepers. Because in football, in modern football, everybody neglect the goalkeepers. They fail to understand that they're the most important players on the field. So you have to look how to integrate them and make sure that, you know, they're a part and they don't feel a part of the, you know, the team.
You're listening to On The Ball here at WINN FM 98.9. With us in studio, live and lively, we have three members of the defending SKNFA Premier League champions, SL Horsfords St. Paul's United. They are also the President Cup champions, and they'll be going to Trinidad and Tobago in a few weeks, which we're really going to touch. But remind you, if you want to come and talk to the guys, 466-0989 or 762-0989, 662-0989. You could WhatsApp me, 668-2055 or 765-1100. Aren't you too short to be a goalkeeper?
No, at all.
Not especially in the professional leagues.
Yeah.
I know they're into goalkeeping because I'm like 5'7.5".
Yes.
And I was a goalkeeper. I wasn't the worst around, but
No, I mean, height really doesn't have anything to do with it, because what you realize with taller goalkeepers, they take a longer time to get on the carpet, and then with shorter goalkeepers, with low center of gravity, they would just fall down as quick as possible. So there's some deficiencies in both height, length, and whatever, but at the end of the day, it's just about a coach trusting that player and making sure that, you know, he helps the team in whatever way possibly.
Jorge Campos from Mexico, very short goalkeeper, but he could really jump.
Yep.
And it's nice that you've made that transition from goalkeeper into coach, because you don't see too many of it. There's a philosophy that defensive players, goalkeepers and defenders, may not necessarily make good coaches because they're coming from a defensive mentality.
Yes.
And but I admire Trizan a lot as a footballer. A few years ago, way back when, I realized two things about Trizan. Every time he goes into a tackle, he either wins the ball or he breaks up the play. And anytime he goes forward, I think he has a goal out of St. Paul's. He either score or he creates an opportunity to score and assist. Some of the time the people score, some of the time. And he was the only player, defender in St. Kitts I've seen, St. Kitts and Nevis, I've seen with them qualities. And his calmness, he's always a cool player, calm, and he would have captained St. Kitts and Nevis a few years ago, 2010, 11, somewhere in there. I think when we went to St. Vincent and the Grenadines and one or two other matches. So it's nice to see. But in terms of the marriage, it is said that a king has no honor in his own country and that sort of thing. But how is the respect level of the players towards Jamal and Trizan as they are homegrown boys, homegrown coaches?
I think the respect is good, but you know, sometimes egos will clash. Well, at the end of the day, before the day done, everybody back to normal. It don't be nothing like not disrespectful in a disrespectful manner. It will just be like we exchange words and a little tough talk, but it's all love still.
One thing I could say about St. Paul's, to me, you have the number one loyal supporters in the country. Perhaps it used to be in your town. But I believe when it comes to St. Paul's, little children, females especially.
Yeah, if I could just jump in here, I tell people all the time, St. Paul's ain't harder than no team in St. Kitts. The separation is the fans and our sponsors. Right? If I could borrow one of Licky Bird's word, it is pollusive. That these are the reason why we win championship. The fans believe in us. They only believe in us, but they come out to support us. They give us that support. When you're down, there are some persons, my sister, for example, Carol, and persons would fall out for life if they ever curse a player. Same thing with Addy. And they go on and on. They believe in the players, they understand the players, and they give them that push. And that is a big reason, in my opinion, that really drives St. Paul Football Club.
Well, the club has had some low times over the past few months. You would have lost your brother. Condolences to you, and Theo Clark would have lost his sister, I think it was.
Yeah, that's last year.
Last year.
Just after we won the championship.
And I know she was a powerful champ.
She have three players.
So that's four.
Batter.
You're right. Well, pass, batter, yeah. Pass, yeah. You're right, yeah.
She would be last. And I heard something about, I don't know how true it is, the policeman Clark.
Yeah.
He's from St. Paul's?
Yes, that's Theo's uncle.
I heard you all were playing a game.
Sorry, Theo's first cousin, sorry.
You all were playing a game, and he called and asked the score. You all had
called his son. Cedric. Cedric is one of our biggest fans as well.
You live from St. Paul.
The father is from St. Paul, right? And he called Cedric and asked Cedric the score. Cedric told him, I think it was 4-0. And he asked if Kiddy scored. That's our main score. And he said no. And before the game ended,
he was gone.
He was gone. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, I think that shows the depth of the support for the club.
My sister sometimes if she is hustling, she won't be able to answer a call coming from the same clerk because he gonna belong. And it's football and how St. Paul's is doing and so on, right? But love, I tell you, love, overwhelming. But
let's go forward now to the competition you're competing. And again, we remind you can call 466-0989, 762-0989, 662-0989. We have the members of the SL Horsford's St. Paul's Football Club with us in studio. They are the current St. Kitts and Nevis Football Association League champion, the defending league champions, and they are also the current President Cup champion. The league champions from last year would play the knockout champions or FA Cup champions from last year, and the winner, that's the opening match for the season, which was on like the 14th of February, and they would have played the then FA Cup champions, Montreal Flames, Clean White United, Old Road Jets, who you all would have defeated 2-0, I think it was. So you have that title, and so I don't know who is going to be the champions this season, but next season, Rams Village Superstars as the FA Cup champions. They're going to play somebody. You're hoping, I think it's going to be you guys.
I think at the end of the day, Rams would not be happy that they won the FA Cup. Because when we play them next year.
Yeah, you're going to take it up. But in terms of now, obviously, you're going into a league above the local league, the CONCACAF Club Champions, and right now, the FIFA World Club Champions, they are on. Messi gets some blows from his former team, PSG. He lose 4-0.
Oh, wow.
And it's what's interesting. There were 4 Brazilian teams in it, and 3 of them, 2 Brazilian teams met each other. I think it was Palmeiras and Botafogo, and Palmeiras won. It's hard when you have teams from the same countries coming up against each other so early in the competition.
I agree.
And but the other 3 teams, I think it was Fluminense. People believe it might have been what you call it, an upset. I think they beat Real Madrid, Inter Milan, some of those teams. I can't remember. So it's going to be interesting. And hopefully, if you guys were to win this, you will be there in the next time it is being hosted, because you would have been a club champion in CONCACAF. But you played, was it 2 years ago? You competed here in St. Kitts.
Yeah, in St. Kitts.
And things didn't go so well. You would have done your assessments. Why do you think things didn't go well at that point 2 years ago?
Well, if I could just jump in first, I would allow the technical people to give this. But it was a learning experience. It was the first time. And we realized as we went along in the season, we were getting better and better. We would have lost to Puerto Rico, the team from Puerto Rico, the first game. And we drew the second game. We drew, and the other one we would have won. So as we progressed, we were doing better. But experience, and we think now that with that experience, we can do wonders in Trinidad. And I charged my technical staff with responsibility of looking at the teams carefully. I told them already, as Havelange have said, if football had anything to do with population, India and China would have been the hardest. Football is down to a science. Work the science out. Don't come tell me because we're playing a team from Guyana and Guyana is bigger than us, they're going to beat us. I don't want to hear that.
That's
So our attitude going there is one that we're going to win this one. All right? We know it's not going to be easy. But no, anything that is good takes time. Anything that is good, you have to work for it. All right? And we have to work for that. And our intention is to go there and do well. And this is not only for St. Paul now. This is for the Federation of St. Christopher and Nevis. All right? We are representing St. Kitts and Nevis in this. And so we have to give it our all.
Well, even more so, the Leeward Islands, the OECS.
Well, all of that. All of that.
And a few teams from St. Kitts and Nevis been there before. Rams Village Superstars.
Of course, yeah.
I think Keon was there as well.
Yeah,
And
Newtown,
been there once or twice.
Yeah.
But we haven't been able to, I'm not...
Go past the group stage.
I don't recall anybody getting out of the group stage.
No.
And how confident, well, first off, what group are you guys playing in? And who are the other clubs?
So we are currently in Group A. Group A has 5 teams. They have a team from Aruba, Puerto Rico, Bonaire, Dominica, and Haiti. We're going to be playing against a team from Aruba, and we're going to be playing against a team from Guyana. So our first game is on the 26th of July versus SV Britannia. That's an Aruban team, and that game is going to be played at the Lowy Gomes Stadium. And then we'll have a day to rest, which is the 27th, and then we go back into action on the 28th when we play our last game versus Guyana Defense Force, which is also a team from Guyana, and that game is also going to be played at that's going to be played at the Harsley Crawford Stadium, which is their national stadium. First game is going to be at 2 p.m. The second game is going to be at 4 p.m.
Hot sun.
2 p.m. You said 2 p.m. I remember Calvi's Leibert. He always of the view that we need to play hot sun football here in St. Kitts. And I support that. We need to have games at 1 o'clock.
You ever see a hot sun game in St. Kitts? It's the worst game.
Yeah.
Because we're not custom. We come back to this, and then you're right.
Since we get lights. Calvi's always said. And I think our national team went places, Trinidad, maybe even 2.
and they've played 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock games. Hudson, I know in the past, our referees had to do fitness tests overseas midday. Most times it's in the morning or the evening now. But the 3 o'clock games on Sundays, the triple header, that might be okay, but at least once a month, I believe, they should have some 1 o'clock game, Hudson game, and all the teams, supposed, in my view, supposed to get an opportunity to play the 1 o'clock games. Calgary's like would always say that for donkey years.
So even when it happens, it don't be the so-called competitive games. Like you wouldn't put a K on and send balls because they think that is not.
That's a big game, a feature game, night time.
That had to be night time.
But they should put it 1 o'clock.
These are the things that you have to look at. Guys, you got to prepare the people, you guys.
Exactly.
You have to prepare them.
What time you say you guys playing 2 o'clock?
We can't tell them we ain't playing.
So now, coach, how are you managing that? Assistant manager. How are you managing that? The mental part of it. The earliest St. Paul's would play here is maybe at 5 o'clock in the day, but now you're telling them they got to play 2 o'clock. So how are you manage the mental part of that to prepare them for that 2 o'clock game?
The most we could do for now is start to them, as you said, to get them mentally prepared. But doing something practically going to be difficult at this time because I was asking the president if we can get something from the association to like give us time to prep. Like when we separate ourselves from the league and we just prep for that itself, so we could get things like that happening where we could train in the morning, train at midday, something like that to get ready for that. But ain't much we could do at this point in time practically.
Let me jump in here. I believe the reason why the team them don't do well is because there is not a big support from the football association. Yeah, I must believe but you're going into a competition. When you finish, you come back. I don't see the drive. I don't see the push. And this is not knocking the present administration. It's happening in the past. I remembered one time that when Kean came back, Kean had to play about 4 games.
Yeah, in a very, very short
That didn't make any sense. I tired of arguing. I said, this shouldn't happen.
But that's a good point you made. Because if you go on and win this thing, the SKNFA would be the biggest thing since sliced bread in my view, and they have a right to be, because they are the ones in authority now. But that support is needed now. So are you saying you would have liked to, you have 3 weeks, 4 weeks to go?
Even not 2 weeks.
So not have any competition, not let you all play competitive matches in there so you could control it. Have you all written to them and asked them about that?
That is in the process.
It's in the process.
Yeah, that's going to happen this week.
Okay.
So.
Because I think one of the conversations me and the now president have at the association was based on the last experience. I was saying having conversed with other managers from other teams, their thing was like the league finish. But when we come back from that, we got to come back and continue football. And it's difficult. So I know any team who travel and go there with that, who playing it, when they come back, they're going to catch it.
Oh, yes. So I'm thinking then, and it's a very expensive venture to start with.
I don't even want to think about it.
But not only that, it's a great pride and joy for whoever the club is from St. Kitts and Nevis to go and represent St. Kitts and Nevis. You would expect this the time St. Paul's going, but all the village fans and all the Kean fans and Newtown fans, even the first division, go and support them because you guys are representing us. So I am thinking that the FA should understand that and work with it, and the club's supposed to understand that, hey guys, next time around it could be any one of you. Today is St. Paul's, but it could be any one of you, and this is the policy we have going forward. Once you make that, we give you 3 weeks off from the league or 4 weeks off from the league, so you have to concentrate on that, and like you said, train 10 o'clock in the morning, train 1 o'clock in the afternoon, however you do it, of course. And I'm hoping that they would find favor in that suggestion. And because at the end of the day, that will help. It's about tourism as well, Not because it's Trinidad and Tobago. Remember, we have a lot of clubs out there and a lot of networks out there looking at the game and bringing them these TV rights. So you are not just going out there to play football. You are going to sell, in my view, sell St. Kitts and Nevis as tourism personnel. So that is interesting. Stick and say, we're going to go for a quick break and we'll be right back speaking to St. Paul's, SL Horsford St. Paul's United, who are going off to Trinidad and Tobago the second time in 3 years, 2 years?
Yeah.
The second time in 2 years to represent St. Kitts and Nevis, Leeward Islands, and the Federation in the CONCACAF Champions League. Stick and stay.
Do you want to know what's happening in sport? Tune in to On the Ball, a weekly tour show which is on WINN FM 98.9 every Tuesday from 7 to 9 p.m. with me, your host, Troy Bif Mills. We will keep you on the ball with our variety of guests and, of course, your calls, discussing the facts and the stats and sharing your opinions. Get on the ball and stay on the ball by tuning into On the Ball with Troy Bif Mills on WINN FM 98.9 every Tuesday night from 7 to 9 p.m. and also on Facebook and YouTube. Be on the ball. Do you want to know what's happening in sport? Tune in to On the Ball, a weekly tour show which is on WINN FM 98.9 every Tuesday from 7 to 9 p.m. with me, your host, Troy Bif Mills. We will keep you on the ball with our variety of guests and, of course, your calls, discussing the facts and the stats and sharing your opinions. Get on the ball and stay on the ball by tuning into On the Ball with Troy Bif Mills on WINN FM 98.9 every Tuesday night from 7 to 9 p.m. and also on Facebook and YouTube. Be on the ball.
Welcome back to On the Ball. Welcome back to On the Ball here at WINN FM 98.9. 466-0989 is the number to call, or 762-0989, as well as 662-0989. We say good evening to the lovely Lavi. Tune in. Good evening. Thank you for tuning in to On the Ball. And Samuel Rowe. Thank you for tuning in, Sam. He is the assistant. Well, Lavi is the host of Real Talk every Wednesday night here at WINN FM 98.9. At 7 o'clock it is, Ras. 8 o'clock. So tune in tomorrow night. And one thing with Lavi, she's going to have a powerful guest. I'm not certain who she's going to have tomorrow night, but she's always having a powerful guest, very interesting conversation. Plus, she's now hosting a show on TV 40. That's the island's, the Federation's tourism channel. So congratulations, Lavi. You're stepping up, girl. I have to go out of the way and look at your show. I haven't been able to. Well, I hope nobody tell you that I say me watch it yet, eh? But I haven't been watching it as yet. But I have to tune in And Sam Rowe, he's the assistant secretary for the St. Kitts and Nevis Table Tennis Association, SKNTTA. Thank you very much, Sam, for watching. We really appreciate it. And again, 6620982, 7620982, as well as 4660989. Or you can WhatsApp me, 668-2055, 765-1100. We have in studios with us members of the SL Horsford's St. Paul's Football Club, the defending SKNFA's league champion and the current FA Cup champion, and they're heading off to Trinidad and Tobago to compete in the CONCACAF's, I nearly say Nations League, the CONCACAF's Champions League, the second time in 2 years. When it was held here in 2023, they were the champions and they represented us, and they're going now. Let's do a little bit of the politics. How many players are you guys allowed to walk with the competition too?
All right, so we had some Zoom meetings with the rules and regulation of the tournament, and CONCACAF have decided that we are going to have a 20-man squad to travel with, but we are allowed a 30-man squad to submit.
Register.
To be registered, correct.
And the 20-man would be 20 players?
20 players, yes. And then we have five technical staff. So a total of 25 persons will be traveling.
And you may not have selected your technical staff, but what positions? The coach, the manager, who will be traveling? Physio, doctor?
Well, we're still fine-tuning everything, but President would...
You know, I'm out of it. I'm never in those things. I'm backstage always, right? But you're going to have the manager, the assistant manager, the coach, the physio, and we have to work with a doctor as well.
Oh, a doctor.
Yeah.
Doctor.
Doctor. It must be a doctor.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's not easy. It's an expensive venture. But we are committed. We're not crying out. And so if I could use the opportunity to,
of course,
ask the general public to, whatever support it is, be grateful. We have sponsorship, players, technical persons are part of the club, have sponsorship, so you can give a little sponsor to the club, are the players. I remember one year, I think it was Village that was going abroad, and Moged, who is one of my favorite players, he and I get at it because I had to rough him up. I said, Moged, I understand that you all have sponsorship. I haven't seen any come to me. Why? Why are you discriminating? And I when I checked my account, I think I had $261.37 in it. I had to close the account. I gave Maggie the $261. So I left with the 37 cents. The short point I'm making is that we know how expensive this is. And this is to help defray some of the costs that you're going to incur while you go there. You're going to get emergencies.
Of course.
You're going to get, how kind of things happening? And you have to be ready for it. So financially, we're asking for that support. And if I could have taken off my hat tip my hat for somebody like Giselle Francis, is a Bugman his name? Yeah. We call him Big Rat. Big Rat came to me 2 nights ago and said, Banga, I want to give something significant to the club because I understand how expensive that is. And I also, if I could go a little further, to thank Delwyn and the Island Atta Supply Canary Football Club for inviting us to an exercise party that was on the eve of Music Festival. And I tell you, it was a shutdown. We had over close to 500 people there. I think I'm good at maths. I mean, about 100 and something from St. Paul's, similarly with Canary, and then other persons from, it was excellent, I tell you. And it was a warm-up. And I was looking at the persons who were there, and after the jam session, which is the Thursday night, I didn't see any of them limping because they were exercising so well. The muscles and so on was really loosened up and well tuned. Right? So, Delwyn, and that was to snowball the awareness of St. Paul's, because habitually Canary, the football club would have it, but they asked us to join them because they want to give us some assistance and they wanted the awareness and etc. So I really, really want to thank the Canary community for coming out in a big way. And as an old man in St. Paul's, I always say, when the dark clouds move from Canary, he coming straight to St. Paul's. And that's the bond that we have, right? You could fight out the football. That's okay. Be competitive. Be competitive. But at the end of the day, we are one. And Canary have shown that. And I really, really want to thank the Canary community, Delway and the rest of the guys. Thank you very, very much.
Would you be able to give, at liberty to give a rough idea of what the entire participation will be costing?
Well, some of it is going to be paid by FIFA, but by CONCACAF, sorry, right? But I remembered I had an estimate that's when we had the COVID, which is different now because you had to, and it was close to $250,000, you know. That with COVID, because you had to quarantine and all kind of thing. So take back that. That is probably $100 and something thousand. Wow. It's not easy. I could tell you. I get nightmares and so, and I jump out my bed and so thinking something wrong with me. And I always ask the Lord to please control me. But as I say, my finances, my personal finances, perennially low. I don't think I would ever get money again in life. But whenever the club doesn't have it, it really, really puts some serious pressure on me. And this is the time that it's low and it's expected because we're not, playing for any lot of money here and so on, which is good. It's okay. But this is an expensive adventure, and we are asking the general public. So whatever assistance, whatever it is, the guys that have a sponsor sheet, you can always call any one of them. Hey, take this, blah, 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 blah. That is the case, and we're happy. All right? Our sponsors are helping us tremendously. SL Hosford, Samuel Laventy in Hosford, the SL Hosford, our lifelong sponsors. They've been around for 35 years. It's the longest relationship. And when I say relationship, I mean even man and woman. The longest relationship we have in the federation. And so we're really happy. You don't see that these things happen anywhere in the world. To be and stick with us. And we have had some bad times. There are times when St. Paul barely escaped relegation. They still were there. There are times when we went to the court. They butchered us financially in that regard. And so we are eternally grateful to them. Thick and thin. Thick and thin. And the wonderful people of the St. Paul fans and the football-loving public. Because at the end of the day, we all love each other. Some of the biggest rival is in Village. And we are always good. Spuddy is going with us.
Wow, Spuddy from Village, farmer.
Every day hug me. He hug me. But when I go to the cars, I have to get my thing booked quickly because he sees that as St. Kitts and Nevis. Got nothing to do with what happened in the league now. Because he doesn't like me to beat him at all. But at the end of the day, he's willing. And we share that bond.
That is a big move from Spuddy.
Yeah.
And especially when they are champ number one right now and you're number two.
Yeah.
And goal difference.
Yeah. Well, as I say, Usain Bolt just get his head up. So he'll have to clear the way.
So when are you going to be picking your squad of 20 to travel?
It's as soon as in the next 2 days, I could tell you.
In the next 2 days?
Yeah, CONCACAF is asking for it as well.
Oh, CONCACAF.
So we just fine-tuning. We have to make sure that fellas are fit. Just don't say you're fit. The export, the doctors got to tell me you're fit or you ain't fit.
Yes.
Right? Because you don't want to go down there and then you
have 19 players.
Exactly. So it's important. And some people coming out of injury, you don't know when they come out of injury, if anything would happen again.
Exactly.
It's tough, right? But that's how it is.
But managing in terms of the passport element, everybody passport who you're thinking of, they're valid.
Yeah.
Because I know a situation where a guy went to the airport to travel. And when he reached the airport, and this was folklore culture, when he reached the airport, he found out the passport expired.
By these things that happen.
Yeah, so
I remembered one time I drove a whole year.
The expired driver's
When I saw it, right, because you recognize on your birthday, and it was about a few days, maybe 2 days before my birthday. I look at it and say, well, I'm going to renew me. Like I know it's not. When I realized I just left the vehicle and I straight to Bastille. Yeah. And I paid for the year. Because I was driving, not knowing. So these things happen.
Yeah, Lavi is saying she's enjoying it. And remember, Real Talk with Lavi here on WINN FM 98.9, 8 o'clock on Wednesdays. And she's also on TVC Channel 40. And she has interviewed Sugar Bowl. I have to go and look for that, because that's going to be a very, very good interview. So the passports, and what's the youngest player you're working with? What's in terms of age?
That's that one, right?
That one, Vivi. Which was it? Which one the younger one?
That one, Vivi.
Yeah.
About 19.
Yeah.
19.
Yeah.
Because apart from you guys going to compete, it's also an opportunity for scouts
Definitely.
looking for players.
Definitely.
Colleges, schools looking for players as well.
Definitely.
So it is much more than just going out to play football.
Yeah.
And that is something that you would have been instilling in your players. And football is not just on the field, it is off the field as well. Your training, your discipline, etc., etc. Now, uniforms. You have your home and away kit here in St. Kitts. 2, 3, I think you have. Are you using the white this year?
Yeah, we didn't use much of the white.
The black and the...
Black and red.
Black and red.
And the black, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, in terms of uniforms for that competition, do you have to get a new set of uniforms? Are you told that you'll have to use the uniforms you're using here? How is that going to be?
You have to present the colors and let them see, and they're very strict. So if you present colors and assuming that you're going to get new ones, and the colors are not close, you can't get the new ones, because the color is what the one that you presented to them is what they expect, because they're going to give you the colors that you want to play in before you even come there. And if they put you in already, you don't dare make a noise. You just go play the game.
So long before you're in Guyana Defense Force,
you know
what color you're using.
You know what color you're using.
You can't choose. Well, we're gonna use the red for this one or the black.
No, that's not gonna do the video.
And
it had nothing to do with you.
That takes me back to a year when you guys were playing Newtown.
Yeah.
I think was it
a clash of colors
up at Newtown?
Yeah, it was crazy.
And I think
the Football Association gone ahead and assigning colors to teams now too.
Well,
right?
it was inevitable.
Yeah.
It was inevitable, and it's always good when clubs and players understand these sort of things, because when it comes initially, there's always that fight back and thing to change. Yeah. But that is how it is. You say, well, okay, you have red, you have black, that. Okay, you're going to use the pink and you're going to use the
referees, everybody.
Exactly, referees as well. And I think that is a good move. How excited are the players for this opportunity?
The players are very excited based on who we have in mind and who we want to select to represent the SLS St. Paul's Football Club and St. Kitts and Nevis on a whole. We have majority of senior selectees. So we have a bunch of guys who've been also selected for the St. Kitts and Nevis senior men's team before. So we just want to band those with the younger ones, because it's a tournament where we're seeing different talents from throughout the Caribbean. And we know it's not going to be easy based on our first counteraction when we played here in St. Kitts and Nevis. So we've experienced in the tournament before, and we went back to the drawing board. We know what we need to do. And like I said before, we have a mixture of a lot of senior men's team from St. Kitts and Nevis.
With the experience.
So I think this time around, we're definitely going to be pushing to win more games. We have 2 games, 2 vital games. I also had a conversation with one player, and the 2 games that you play, there's no guarantee that you will qualify if you win those 2 games at 1-0. So goal difference and goals that have been scored on you, it's also very important, So we just want to pick the best team, so who we know definitely could go out and definitely do what we have to do for St. Paul's.
You mentioned there are 5 clubs in 5 teams in one group.
Yeah.
But you're only playing 2 matches.
2 matches.
So everybody will play 2 matches.
Everybody will play 2 matches.
And obviously goal difference and things like that.
That is the most
When you played here in St. Kitts, it was 3.
Yes,
There were
we got
four,
3
four in the
games.
group.
Yes.
So all the groups, do they have in 5 matches or
All
5
the
clubs?
groups are 5.
And how many groups are they?
4 groups.
And when you win, it's a straight case of 1 play 2 and 3 and 2 play 1, etc.
So out of those 4 groups, you must come first.
First?
Once you come first. It's a very short tournament.
Or no
It
second in
seems
it?
long, but it's a very short tournament.
So
Group
no second in
stage-
it?
Yeah, there's a second. There's
Okay.
a second in it. So when you win your group, when you win those 4 groups, so 4 teams, 4 different groups, A, B, and C, and D, you play for 3rd place. You play for finals, and tournament is done.
Wow, okay.
Yep.
Easy as that, simple as that.
Mm-hmm.
So technically, that's really loser's brush. So, but this is like you said,
Sorry.
you could win your 2 matches, but you could still be out and not make it 2.
Mm-hmm.
That's really tough. That's
So,
really tough.
It is.
But I could understand perhaps it's an economic factor.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Because just to have you guys
It's
down
expensive, yeah.
there, and you're playing every other day.
Every other.
Every other day.
Yeah, it's
So
expensive.
to have you guys down there, 16 clubs spending an extra 2 days, that's a lot of money.
Whenever CONCACAF give you something, they're looking back for it. I told somebody the other day, my hand trembled when I had to write a check to CONCACAF. We had to wire it of $7,000
US.
for
Easy?
easy. It was equivalent for 5 yellow cards that we got when the competition was held here. We got 5 yellow cards, and they penalized us $500 US a yellow card.
Serious?
We had to pay $7,000.
Wow, that's interesting. For every yellow card you get.
Yeah, when you exceed 3, that everything come into play. You have to pay
wow.
$500 US
Wow.
for a yellow card. So we had to pay $7,000 just for yellow card alone.
Otherwise you can't enter.
You d-
And even if you weren't the champions and some other club was going, you still would have had to pay those cards?
Yeah,
Them
we
cards?
got to pay. I mean, at least to enter into this competition. They're not going to let you get away with that, you know. You have to pay it.
And that's very interesting. But like everything else, it's all about discipline.
Yep.
And some people take stupid yellow cards.
Yeah, that's why I say if you want to take a yellow card, it got to be for the team.
Exactly. And you score a goal, you pull your shot over your head. Come on, man. That's the stupidest yellow card you can get. I mean, what is that?
Yeah.
But and have you done research on your coach? Done research on the 2 clubs, Defence Force in Guyana, and the other one was from Aruba, I think you said.
Yes.
And Defence Force, I think they have won the national championships down there a few times. I really like it when police and Defence Force, they participate in national competitions and they win. To me, it does a lot for not only them, but the integration with society.
Yep.
And I remember police, for example, police used to play football and cricket here.
It's very good.
And they were in the first division for quite a few years, but since they went down, they never catch the south. And I like that. But have you done your research and look at them and see what you're up against?
Yes, definitely. No, we have the luxury of FIFA Plus, and games across the Caribbean is being broadcast on FIFA Plus. And even though games are live, they're there for almost a month or 2 until they take them down from the site. So yes, we have done our research, because the typical football we play here in the Caribbean, which is we just go game after game after game. When you're now playing at an international level, the stakes are really, really high. So it's a lot of more details. You have to pay close attention to everything. Key players, weaknesses, strengths, and all those abilities, the best player. Because when you go into a game already knowing all of these things, it's like taking an exam and already having the answers. You're going to go in and ace it. So yes, definitely we have done our research, and we're still doing them because certain games are still being played. So day by day, whenever we have games, we have a staff chat separate from the players. We would send different links, different clips, and we'll watch them together so that at the end of the day when we go down there, we're not being surprised.
Well, on the flip side, they have access to your
Of
games
course.
as well.
Of course.
That's the point. There's nothing,
Yes.
nothing wrong with that. We expect them to do the same.
Exactly. So nobody really have an unfair advantage
no,
as it is. And in Trinidad, well, there's no home turf there, so to speak. And so that is somewhat neutral because, like you mentioned earlier, the 13th man, the spectators,
Yep.
that is a very, very, very big thing. Suppose, well, you said Spuddy is going. Suppose other persons from the community, football lovers, would want to go.
Excellent question. It is open, but we need to know now. Because if you're going to book a charter flight, how many persons, all those things we need to know. So I'm appealing to the fans and everybody who want to be a part, come quickly. Let us get it done because it can't be a rush thing.
And who could they contact? What number could they call for that?
669-6989. That's Donald Freeman. That's me. And they could always contact anybody in the club. They would always get on to the appropriate persons, and we'll, move forward.
Fair enough. Gentlemen, it's not going to be an easy thing. It'll be nice. And when you guys win your round, y'all go on to the semi-finals and the final.
Yeah.
And what is in it for you at the end of the day when you win everything down there? What's next after that?
There's a price, man. I can't be certain. I can't be certain what it is at the top of my head. But it's
they were saying it's 164,000 US.
US.
Yeah.
That's where.
I think that was just. To
that's when we were here. That's when the commission was
I think
here.
that was if you make it to the finals.
No, I think they start paying from semi-finals. Yeah, up.
So you make the semis, you get money.
Yeah,
You make
yeah.
the finals, you get
Final,
money.
yeah,
So-
and then the winner for sure.
And the winner get
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
And I
And
think they said the top two teams going to take part in some.
Another,
which is probably
the Mexican team.
And
all
the
those.
okay. So that'll be a CONCACAF.
Yeah. I don't think the big boys them are involved in that. It's in Mexico and those things and US and so on. So that is the stage you will play once you first two team, I think it is.
Okay. And they play with these Palmeiras or
Yeah.
sort of thing, Botafogo, them kind of thing.
That is running behind the ball, boy.
I think Los Angeles, well, the US hosted the CONCACAF Club Championship that is happening now.
No. Okay.
And I know into Miami, they were in the quarterfinals, but they got a 4-0 from PSG. And I think Los Angeles, the team from Los Angeles, they were in it as well. And I think that shows the quality of the football. And Brazil, on a whole, the Brazil team may not be doing that well. But the Brazil structure, that foundation is very strong. Because in the semi-finals they're going into now, I think, they had the quarterfinals here. And I think it's either one or two Brazilian team in there already. So that says how strong the Brazilian team, whether you like it or not, the Brazilian product is a powerful product. But is there anything else any sponsors you want to pick up again before you leave?
Yeah, certainly our, again, lifelong sponsors, SL Hasford and Company Limited, as we say, Samuel Laventy in Hasford. Again, we couldn't do it without them. We couldn't do it. The 7 Premier Division Championship we have, we couldn't do it without Hasford. That marriage, that bond, that kept us together.
35 years.
35 years. As I say, longest relationship in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Right? All the fans, the loyal fans, I mean, once it's assembled, they're ready to assist and so on. We want to say thank you, we love you, and all the football-loving public, we say, again, continue to support football. It's a good product, and we just need to build on it. Biff, I could just go into something very quickly.
Sure,
that's all for the thing. I remember under Johnson administration, and I take this very seriously. We discussed the fact that the CONCACAF big boys were not going to be there because they're hosting the World Cup. Canada, Mexico, USA. I said this is a golden opportunity for St. Kitts
and Nevis to make the...
And St. Kitts and Nevis to go out there and do well. And I didn't see any push for that. When you have a team like the BVI, who is going to hold Jamaica in a 1-0, I think Jamaica beat them 1-0. And then we're going to lose against it. I think it doesn't send a good signal. Honest to God, we need to be more serious than we are. I believe that about 8 years ago, we should have already had a camp with all the persons we're looking at and talk to the government, holistic approach, and see what we can do. But this are taking too much of the baby steps. We should be doing better than the team them around us who are really coming up and doing it. So I'm appealing to all the football heads and so on. Let us go out there. And in sports in general, we have to invest more in sports. Azara. I don't think people understand what these people do for the country. You know?
I agree with you. I don't think we understand.
I don't think we understand it. We take it for granted. The paving the way. We had the likes of Luther Kelly and Shoyan Williams and I could call her name, even in Sandy Point, anywhere. Which I believe could have knocked on West Indies' door. But I don't think we give the push enough.
That enough support.
We're fighting against ourselves. People are fighting against us and we're fighting against ourselves.
Exactly.
And so it's even worse. Right? So I just had to make that point. That is
and
important.
you have another young cricketer, Elia Weeks.
Yeah, exactly.
From St. Paul.
From St. Paul.
She made the West Indies on the 19 team at 14, 15?
Yeah.
So that again, and we haven't heard much of her since. And with respect to Curtis Cook, I know he always say it, and he's an ardent listener.
Yeah.
And he was adamant that when Jazara came back, nobody was at the airport to meet her, which is part of the support you're talking about.
Yeah.
And
I drive Azara, I drive Leeward Island, and there are times when displeased with how she out, and call her aside, discuss. Never one show me any. He said, "My I get carried away. I don't know what happened," and so on. I said, "Stay focused, stay focused." Because these are good people. And we need to buttress them more than we do it.
Yes, she is, because I've said it last year. Just when she made West Indies team, they on the 19, I said she's going to make the West Indies senior, and I said she's going to captain the team. I also said it about Kyle as well. Not because he didn't play the first test. Kyle, he's going to cement his place, and he's going to go on to the captain. Of course, once they stay in cricket and they're not injured per se. But that trust, that is necessary. And when it comes to this level, it's no longer about my community and your community. It's about St. Kitts and Nevis, which you said more, but that support needs to come. And the camp, I agree with you. Gone are the days you call people together 2 months before, 6 weeks before, and you train. And Lenny Lake had a system back in 2009. Lenny Lake made a proposal, but somehow he didn't do a good job convincing anybody. I thought it was an excellent proposal, but somehow he couldn't convince nobody that he needed to do anything like that. Maybe they threw it in the garbage. I don't know. And because we are amateur footballers, we are amateur players in all the sports, and we're going up against professionals. These guys waking up 6 o'clock in the morning, they're going to do 2 hours practice, maybe go to the gym, they got breakfast, they take 2 hours, they come back, they look at games, and then 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, whenever they go back out and practice again. And a man go run from pouring concrete, from pouring concrete, go home, he may not even get to wash off and be good.
And we expect him to do well.
Exactly.
I believe that whenever somebody from St. Kitts and Nevis make it in national, international stage, they're much, much, much better than the others.
Of course.
That's why. Because we need to get more support. Honestly, and I'm appealing to everybody in St. Kitts, let us understand the importance of these things.
The corporate community as well as the government.
Yeah.
Whether we like it or not, but those are the 2 key partners we have, the corporate community. But going back to a point you made, St. Kitts and Nevis 145 on the FIFA ranking. And Grenada, who were 160, 69, 64, somewhere down there. They beat us.
That is something that I can't get over. And I'm not attacking the gentleman to my left. Because
here's part of the stuff.
I'm going to tell you, I was disappointed. I'll tell you why. And I hope the Grenadians are not listening to me. Because I was the driver. But when I came to the park, when I had to go to a funeral, rush down to a funeral in St. Paul's, of course, shake the hands of the
family.
The family and so on. So they know I was there, and then rush back up because as a judge, I should be there.
Yeah.
Right? But I have to just run out and come back. When I come back and I see how St. Kitts was playing, I don't know, something have to be wrong. We should have gotten Grenada at least 5-0 in the first half. We can't allow teams to come back at us. At least 5-0. We didn't approve the goals. Bam, they come and beat us. It just didn't look good. Because I think that we are much better than Grenada. Honest to God. We are much better than them.
But you find over the years, the Windward Island teams have generally given us a lot of problems, eh? We have won some, yes, we won the OECS championship back in 1985, I think it was, with Dominica.
Yeah.
And Grenada, the strengths of the Windward Islands have basically been St. Vincent.
St. Vincent.
Grenadines.
St. Vincent used to be very good. I remember looking at a game in Barbados, St. Vincent versus Barbados. And I had to keep quiet because I was back in St. Vincent. And they just humiliated Barbados. 3-1. And that same game is a game that I think we had a boycott in Barbados, Cummins. And I remember the cricketers then came to the same football game. And I believe it was done intentionally by Rich Richardson, because he was the captain then. And the team went up and passed the fans and they applauded the team. And when Richardson came up after, the board Richardson, I remember that. So I said, the only good thing I get out of the game is that St. Vincent beat Barbados and humiliated them, 3-1, right? So St. Vincent is always a good team, right?
Their strength, but somehow, and a person may not like to hear it, but if we cannot dominate the OECS teams,
I agree with you.
we are not ready for the top 4, the Jamaicans and Trinidad.
I agree with you.
I don't believe we could meet any Windward Island team, any place, any time, any competition, and beat them.
Yeah.
And but that's the reality we are facing. But the question is, this has been going on for years. How do we fix it? Any efforts being made to fix it? I'm not certain.
I think people run football and just allow football to happen. Honestly, I don't think we deep. I mean, I would have been harassing. Let me not use that. But I would have been having conversation with the government all the time.
Yeah,
what can we do?
You have
Tell us. I mean, you can't look to the government for everything. Don't get me wrong. But something like this, a program. How could we defray some of the costs? Not physical money, but put them, host them somewhere, put them something. But they must feel a part of.
You see, it's also a challenge, when players, when officials working for government, in some cases they're having challenges getting time off to go. And I know of a situation, not under this administration, I don't know if it's happening under this administration, but the previous administration, that was happening. There was an official, and the thing about it, once you do it at this level, you're going to get more opportunities.
Yeah.
Not only at the same level, but others, and you're going to go up. And when that happens, could you imagine when you're watching a TV and you hear Jamal Jeffers is the coach of this thing from St. Kitts and Nevis? You feel good.
Of course.
But we only want to get there, and we don't want to give the support at the low levels. Yeah. But in the previous administration, there was an official had problems getting time off from government. He works for government. That ain't supposed to happen. In the corporate community, you hope that they give you time off for national thing, but the government that's supposed to be a no-no. You shut your ears, man, go on, no problem. Put something in place for whatever.
Give me a report when you come
back. But it's sad. I think we pay a lot of lip service in the country more, and I keep pushing in Trinidad and Tobago and Guyana and Barbados especially. In 2015, I went to the Crop-Over finals, Calypso finals in Barbados. The first Calypsonian coming out is Jamal Jeffers, and he's sponsored by this and by that company. I said, oh wow, he went out and do some work. Next thing, the second Calypsonian come out. Bugman coming out, Mighty Bugman, he's sponsored by this and that and that. I said, okay, 2 Calypsonians, that's good. When the third one come out and he's sponsored, I asked somebody, what really going on with them sponsors? They say, it's all about the corporate community sponsoring and getting back tax returns.
Oh.
So if you sponsor, let's say $1 million, water sponsorship to schools and church and whatever, and you have your records, and at the end of the year, you make $10 million, rather than the government tax you and the 9 million, they say, okay, you gave $1 million, we're going to multiply that by 2. So that's like you're giving 3 million, and we're only going to tax you on 7 million, or whatever the figure is.
Yeah. So people happy to do it.
Of course, companies running, you might get a sponsor, why you want another, they're running chasing you down for sponsorship. Because they know they're going to get.
That's a clever way.
Exactly. It happens in Trinidad, it happens in Barbados. I don't know where else. I know those too. Because just like you have W Connections and Petrotrain, whatever, the clubs in Trinidad.
If you understand Barbados culture with the Calypso, it's very high, you know.
Yeah.
The competition is a very high competition. I was there, 2 of them. Excellent competition.
Quality.
Excellent.
Road map,
music,
soca.
everything.
Yeah, man.
You just got to understand the culture. Take a little while, but it's very good.
Yeah.
Plastic bag, I used to always admire him. But he got some fans, but you don't dare go in the car. You know?
He's one of the Calypsonians who, in my view, made the transition from the old school to the new school. Even here, some of our Calypsonians have made that transition from the Calypso thing to the new now. Whether we like it or not, we go try to reach out to the young people, and Red Plastic Bag did that. But gentlemen, any final words before you leave?
Again, I just want to say thanks to WINN FM, in particular you, Biff, for inviting us. It's a pleasure being here, and it's a series. If you want us back next week, we willing and ready, you know, because we want to get the word out there. Again, the general public, we want to thank you very much. There are persons who are coming on board and assisting us financially and otherwise. We want to thank you very much. Help us to defray a lot of the costs. It's a high cost for CONCACAF Club Championship, and whatever your donation is, we greatly appreciate it.
Well, I just saw a call coming in, and I missed it from a gentleman. I'm not going to call his name, but he's in the corporate community, so I'm hoping that he was calling to say, well, he's going to give you 5,000 years or something. I'll touch base with him after and find out, and if he wants to make a contribution, obviously.
We welcome that. And if you know, to get the mileage as well, we don't have a problem at all.
Of course.
We would always find the appropriate way. You tell us what you're thinking, and hey, it's your money. We're happy to, you know, for you to lend that support, and we'll do whatever it takes.
And again, you said all of your players, your management, they have sponsorship. Looking and soliciting donations of any sort, any type.
And they could do like me, the 260 I gave it
bank
all.
account. And anybody wanting to call again for any clarifications, who they contact?
669-6989, Donald Freeman. Anybody from the SLS for St. Paul Football Club.
And your sponsors again?
Samuel Laventeen Hospital, SL Hospital and Company Limited. Thank you so much. 35 years. And I know you're going to be another 100. Right?
Okay then. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to the interview with this St. Paul's, SL Horsford, St. Paul, Samuel Laventeen Horsford. First time I hear the name. I always know it as SL Horsford. Samuel Laventeen Horsford, St. Paul's United. The current defending league champions, Premier League champions, and the current President Cup champions. They're off to Trinidad and Tobago to represent us, the Federation, in the CONCACAF Club Championship. So we wish them all the best, not only to remain healthy and injury-free, but with success, not only just to win 2 games, but to go on deep in the competition, winning it. And, of course, the experiences, no doubt you will have the experiences to bring back home and cement your place here as champions in the Premier League, which is easier said than done, of course, because the competition I expect is going to be tight. So, gentlemen, congratulations again, and best wishes, and be safe and strong and healthy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for the
We're going to take a break, and we're going to be right back. Stick and stay. Don't go away, because we're going to be doing a wrap-up when we come back in a few seconds.
Do you want to know what's happening in sport? Tune in to On the Ball, a weekly tour show which is on WINN FM 98.9 every Tuesday from 7 to 9 p.m. with me, your host, Troy Bif Mills. We will keep you on the ball with our variety of guests and, of course, your calls, discussing the facts and the stats and sharing your opinions. Get on the ball and stay on the ball by tuning into On the Ball with Troy Bif Mills on WINN FM 98.9 every Tuesday night from 7 to 9 p.m. and also on Facebook and YouTube. Be on the ball. Do you want to know what's happening in sport? Tune in to On the Ball, a weekly tour show which is on WINN FM 98.9 every Tuesday from 7 to 9 p.m. with me, your host, Troy Bif Mills. We will keep you on the ball with our variety of guests and, of course, your calls, discussing the facts and the stats and sharing your opinions. Get on the ball and stay on the ball by tuning into On the Ball with Troy Bif Mills on WINN FM 98.9 every Tuesday night from 7 to 9 p.m. and also on Facebook and YouTube. Be on the ball.
Welcome back to On the Ball here at WINN FM 98.9. I am Troy Bif Mills, your host, and it has been a pleasure being on the program. I said has because we're wrapping up, but however, there are a few things I want to say before we wrap up. Mr. Eustace Hendrickson, an ardent listener of On the Ball, he either calls into the program, he either sends me a message, send a message via YouTube or Facebook, and he calls me after the program with his suggestions, his ideas, which I always welcome. And he's not keeping well. He has been diagnosed with stage 4 brain cancer, and the doctor has indicated that there's no known medical treatment that they know of. And that is basically indicating that the inevitable is going to happen. So we're asking you to keep Eustace in in your prayers and help to comfort the family, the period. They're going the period of anxiety. And I don't think this is an easy moment at all for the family. Even for Eustace himself, he's in pain. So please keep Eustace Hendrickson, or some may know him as Philip Hendrickson. He worked Cable and Wireless for quite a few years. Cable and Wireless, Scantel, Lime, for donkey years. And he a very, very friendly gentleman. And please keep him keep him in our prayers for healing and for comfort. And I received some positive news that King Elimat, he was in a coma, and I've received news that he's now out of the coma, which is something positive. And obviously, he is doing well. Football is going to resume here in Warner Park in the Premier League on Friday, and on Thursday, we're having West Indies cricket, West Indies under 19 cricket happening right here in St. Kitts and Nevis. Cricket West Indies is Rising Stars Men's under 1950 over championship. The St. Kitts Cricket Association, they would have sent out a notice congratulating the players who were selected, wishing them all the best and encouraging persons to come on out and support the youngsters, support cricket, support the St. Kitts Cricket Association, support the Leeward Islands Cricket Board, and who they're hosting it on behalf of, and obviously support Cricket West Indies. And quickly, the matches, there are going to be 4 venues, 3 in St. Kitts, 1 in Nevis. 4 matches played. Round 1, Thursday, 3rd July, Leeward Islands Tropical Wave versus Windward Islands over at Connery. Jamaica versus USA 1 at St. Mary's Park, Keon. Trinidad and Tobago versus USA 2 at the St. Paul's Cricket Grounds. And Barbados versus Guyana over in Nevis at the El Comido Willett Park. That's the ETW Park in Nevis. The USA, they have 2 teams, and I like the idea that that is happening. Why? It provides the opportunity for the players to have more matches, and it also helps to develop cricket in the USA. Remember, the USA, they developed some fans, especially Jones. I think Jones, the opening batsman, developed some fans for the World Cup. And these matches are playing 1 off 2, play 1 off 2. So the first round of matches on Thursday, 3rd July, skip Friday, skip Saturday. The second round of matches will be Sunday, 6th July. And I'm not going to go through all, but just give you this round. Trinidad and Tobago versus Barbados at Connery. Leeward Islands Tropical Wave versus USA 2 at Keon. Guyana versus USA 1 at St. Paul's. And Windward Islands versus Jamaica in Nevis. So go on out and support it. And of the 14 players, and I'll run through them again, Matthew Miller, the captain, he's from Antigua and Barbuda. DeAndre Drew, he's the vice captain, he's from St. Kitts. Tanis Francis, Micah, Mackenzie, Mikali Tong, those are from Antigua. Amori Jones and Carlton Pluck from Nevis. Tianik Honore, Devan Singh and Israel Morton from St. Martin. Kunal Tilakani, St. Kitts. Lushan Bergen, St. Kitts. Iret Richards from St. Kitts, he's the wicket keeper. And Caden Francis, he is from St. Kitts. We say congratulations to all of these youngsters for making the West Indies under 19 team, and for making the Leewards under 19 team. And once their performances, they have very good performances, they'll then go on to represent the West Indies under 19 team. And we're wishing you all the best. And for those who may not remember, in 1993, we hosted this competition for the first time, and it was the first time it was held out of Barbados, Jamaica, Guyana, Trinidad and Tobago. First time any country out of the Big Four held it. And St. Kitts would have held it back in 1993. And some persons, it's funny because the only 2 cricketers I could remember from that tournament is our own Junie Mitchum and Shonda Paul. I can't remember. I think there was a king from Guyana or Jamaica. I can't remember. I don't remember anybody else. But I know Junie Mitchum also made the West Indies under 19 team in that year, and they went to England. And so we're wishing all these youngsters all the best. And may you have an injury-free and healthy season, and of course have good performances and go on to win the championship and be selected for West Indies team. We congratulate all the cricketers because this is a very big moment for them. And talking about cricket and cricketers, we lost the first game on the weekend to Australia, and that wasn't a good thing at all. A lot of persons are mad. West Indies dropped 7 catches, and there were some indifferences with the umpiring that all went against West Indies. When you look at the keeper catching ball on the ground, umpire saying out, ball dropping in gloves, keeper gloves, umpire saying not out, ball playing the edge, etc., etc. But hey, that is how the cookie crumbled. The second test match is going to be at the National Cricket Stadium in St. George's, Grenada, and that is from Thursday the 3rd to Monday 7th July 2025. And that's the second test match. The third test match is going to come up, when is it? Where is it? Well, let us leave that a bit, because remember, Australia, they're going to be playing here as well. They're going to be playing 3 T20s here. The first T20 at Sabina Park on Sunday, 20th July. And then they're going to have the second one also at Sabina Park, Tuesday, 22nd July. And here in St. Kitts, the third T20, that will be on Friday, 25th July at 7 p.m. in the night, right here at Warner Park, Bastia. The fourth will be Saturday, 26th July, also at 7 p.m. And the third, Monday, 28th July, the fifth, the third, fourth, and fifth at Warner Park, Bastia. And Pakistan, West Indies is going to be playing Pakistan as well. And those games are going to be played in the US 3 T20s. And they're going to be playing 3 ODIs. And then, guess what? CPL starts Thursday, 14th August. St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots playing Antigua and Barbuda Falcons here at Warner Park at 7 p.m. That is CPL. And then we're going to be having the second game Friday, 15th August. St. Kitts and Nevis versus Guyana Amazon Warriors at 7 p.m. But I'm going to get more Guyanese here in the park than Kittitians. No? And football resuming on Friday again in Warner Park. And there's some sad news out about some allegations about a rape situation with West Indian players or a player from West Indies. I really hope all of these things didn't happen. And it's unfortunate. No man's supposed to ever rape a woman. Even me, if I say, sweetheart, let's get groovy. If she say no, whether she's serious or not, I cut off. Some women, they may say no mean yes, and they're just testing and getting hard. Sorry, sweetheart, once you tell me no, no is no, I busting off. I ain't even gonna come close to you again. I don't know what you think. So please, gentlemen, please, when the ladies say no, no is no, back off. Please, the gentleman, the accusations of unwarranted advances. Please leave the ladies alone. They do not like it, and don't be vexed with them if they don't like it. Leave them alone. And before we slip away, condolences again to the family of the late Vince Culture, who was laid to rest yesterday, as well as the young lady her body was discovered and a few days ago. We say condolences to her family. If you're celebrating birthdays again between now, tomorrow, and the next week, Monday, happy birthday in advance, happy anniversary in advance. You're going through a period of bereavement. Condolences to you. And we thank you for tuning in, Lavi, Sam. We thank you both for your comments and tuning in. Let us continue to pray for Eustace, that he may recover, and the anxiety and frustrations of the family may be relieved. It's not easy. And please, we are appealing again for sponsorship for On The Ball here at WINN FM 98.9, as well as the daily news. And we produce our news daily. Comes as part of the news, the sports, sorry. We produce our sports daily, which comes as part of the news package, the major news package at 6 p.m. The sports comes after with a rebroadcast at 7 a.m. in the morning. So please call our marketing department, 466-9586, or call yours truly, Troy Bif Mills, 668-2055-765-1100, so we can design a special package for you. As I slip away, I leave, I thank my producer, Raspy of Tough House, and I invite you to join us again next week, Tuesday, God's Spear. And we are scheduled to have the St. Kitts and Nevis Wrestling Federation, as well as the St. Kitts and Nevis Athletics Commission, which falls under the St. Kitts and Nevis Olympic Committee. They are our two guests next week, Tuesday, God's Spear, the St. Kitts and Nevis Weightlifting Federation, as well as the St. Kitts and Nevis Athletes Commission. Thank you for being with us. And yes, Romain Belgrove, he's early, man. He's already sending me his logo for next week. Romain Belgrove of the St. Kitts and the Nevis Weightlifting Association. They will be with us next week, and they're going to tell us all about it. I wonder if I could do weightlifting, boy. No, man, I think I'm too weak for that. So, please, thank you for joining us. And when you're driving, cut back on your speed. Don't drive too close behind any vehicle in front of you. Don't drink and drive. Don't drive and drink. Be very much aware of what is happening around you. Pedestrians, cyclists, bicyclists, persons standing on the side of the road. Please be aware. And always be positive in your thoughts, your words, and your actions. Thank you for joining. Have a good night.
Do you want to know what's happening in sport? Tune in to On The Ball, a weekly tour show which is on WINN FM 98.9 every Tuesday from 7 to 9 p.m. with me, your host, Troy Bif Mills. We will keep you on the ball with our variety of guests and, of course, your calls, discussing the facts and the stats and sharing your opinions. Get on the ball and stay on the ball by tuning into On The Ball with Troy Bif Mills on WINN FM 98.9 every Tuesday night from 7 to 9 p.m. and also on Facebook and YouTube.